Hey everyone, Art Burns here. Hope you're all doing well today. I am just so happy to be back outside recording these videos. It's been snowing for the last 2 days out here in Denver, and it feels so good to be out in the spring air again. I hope the weather's where you are is good too. I know it's been pretty stormy around the whole country. I hope you're doing all right out there. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit more about empathy and specifically how it relates to stress reduction. A lot of times the two things aren't necessarily associated with one another. I'm going to show you why they should be. So stress, the stress response in our body always comes from some sort of fear, right? Now, it's designed to protect you from an actual physical, mortal threat, right? So, a wild animal that's going to eat you, right? Like the stress response that happens in your body is absolutely no different from the stress response that happens in the body of a gazelle as it eyes a cheetah approaching from across the savannah in Africa, right? There's no difference, right? However, most people in modern society in the Western world, we don't experience life or death situations in our whole lives, much less cheetahs, right? But what we do experience is we experience a fear of a threat to our status, right? Now, there's really four big statuses that we're mostly affected by, right? It's the financial status, the romantic status, the social status, or the health status. When we feel an endangerment to one of those four, now there's lots of others, right? But those are the four big ones, right? There's lots of subsets beneath that, but when we feel a threat of one of those four statuses in our lives, right? That's when we get the stress response happening in our bodies, right? Now, sometimes this can come from, reading an email or opening up your bank statement and realizing that you don't have as much money as you thought you did, and you're wondering how you're going to pay for your spouse's birthday gift or something like that, right? That can cause the same stress. It's a fear that would include a fear to your romantic status as well as your financial status, right? But a lot of times this threat that we perceive, right, this fear that we feel, comes from an interpersonal exchange, right? Somebody does something, somebody says something, some action happens that makes you feel a threat to one of those four statuses. Now, of course, with people, quite often that's a threat to our social status or our romantic status sometimes, but it can be the other two as well. But the point I'm making is that when we feel this sense of a threat to us, right? When we feel a fear that comes from a threat to our status as brought to us by someone else, right? Our immediate, our immediate reaction to that is usually one of retribution, right? Like we feel like we need to, automatically we need to even the score. We need to do something that's going to, sort of, again, gain retribution on some level, right? And that's where empathy comes in. Now, let me give you an example, right? You're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off, right, on the highway. You slam on your brake, and the immediate thing that you want to do is you want to honk your horn at the person, or you want to drive up alongside of them and flip them a bird, or scream at them or something, right? And of course, this is, I'm not saying that that's not an understandable reaction, but question right now how much that actually helps you, right? Does it actually affect the other driver? Usually it doesn't. If anything, it just escalates things, and then you're both screaming at each other, and who knows where that winds up, right? Oftentimes when we get into that feeling, when we allow that stress response to arise in our, because again, we feel a threat to our social status, right? Like the fact that this person is going to get away with this, right? And so if there's someone else in the car with us, our wife or husband or our kids, we're likely to snap at at one of those people, right? And that is going to cause more damage in our lives than the initial thing did anyway, right? Now, of course, this is one very simple example, and I'm sure you could extrapolate this into all the other areas of your life, right? But the point that I'm making is that when that is your immediate reaction, your automatic, immediate reaction, chances are, it's going to go from a bad situation to worse, right? However, if we can instead have the automatic, reaction that instead of reacting that way, we ask ourselves a very simple question, right? What made that person do that thing to us, right? Now, again, if the scenario of somebody driving in the car, maybe you think instead of screaming and honking your horn and wanting to get back at the person, maybe you think of maybe somebody's hurt. maybe this person's rushing to the hospital because they just got a call that somebody's in the hospital and they care very deeply about this person. Maybe for whatever reason, this person thinks that cutting me off was a good thing for them, right? And whether that's valid or not, that was their motivation. As soon as you start asking those questions, that is employing empathy, right? Like empathy is the idea, the principle of feeling what someone else is going through, right? And sort of asking that question of understanding why someone's doing something that they're doing, right? And as soon as you start asking yourself those questions, you go from this sense of stress response and wanting to, that fight or flight, you go from that to thinking like, wow, I wish I could do something to help this person. So you go from this anger and this kind of, survival instinct, you go to a place of compassion. And when you're in that place of compassion, your blood pressure is not going to rise. Your heart rate's not going to increase. Your respiratory system, all the different systems of your body, they're going to stay normal, which is not what's happening in the stress response, right? In the stress response, all that stuff's becoming very hyper aroused and causing you a lot of discomfort and also a lot of health risks as well. And so empathy, can help us to keep our stress down and in the process, keep us healthier and allow us to live life on our terms, allow us to thrive instead of merely survive. So if you'd like any more information about this and how we can apply this to other areas of your life or other examples maybe that would help you understand it better, or if you'd like some very simple practices to develop empathy as a habit so that it's the automatic response during these kind of situations, just drop me a comment, send me a direct message, let's start a conversation. I'd be more than happy to get into a conversation with you that can help you. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. I wish you well, and I'll be back again on Monday. Have a great weekend. Take care.